Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 163 of the Noclip Crewcast. The Noclip Crewcast. Coming at you live from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. At least for me, the two of you guys are still in beautiful California. How's it going over there, Jeremy?
It's good. It's raining, and I've been working on Pentiment basically since we last spoke, and it's going good. I'm very excited about it. It's longer than it probably should be, but if you hand me a big documentary edit for a game that I think is like important and good, I'm gonna, the cutting floor is not gonna be covered in gems. I'm going to put all the gems into the video. Exactly.
I feel like longer than it should be is the Noclip way. I feel like that is the like the subtitle of our work. Yeah, exactly. Hey, look. As people of our patrons who've watched our exclusive behind the scene video edited by Frank Howley know, everyone enjoys a good Pentiment time, and the longer a Pentiment time you can enjoy, the better. Frank, you had a good Pentiment time at that trip. What have you been up to? How's life down in SoCal?
Yeah, I mean, I default and say everything is good, but like the weather is getting better. I can't remember. I did do a bike ride over the weekend, but yeah, I feel like things are all right. I don't know. I will say, like, we are recording this on Valentine's Day, not to beat the bush, but my mental thought before going, it was like I was already going through a lot, and now, but it's also like I feel like real life has been so morbid and bleak that Valentine's Day, it's like I don't care, whatever. But I'm just looking forward ahead to Japan. We're starting to make reservations for stuff, so I'm just looking forward ahead where I'll be surrounded by lots of fun stuff. So I'm doing okay.
Exactly. Our Valentine today is video games, as it is most years, even if we're married, even if we're single, even if our better half lives, hundreds of miles away, we will always have our mistress, video games.
Our guma, yeah.
And sometimes our mistress is involved. Sometimes it's a sort of a polyamorous kind of three-way situation. Sometimes there's two video games involved, and gets even more interesting. We're here to talk about the many menage a trois we enjoyed this week. But before we get into that, I'm not in Vegas for frivolous reasons. I was not here for the Super Bowl, although I can see the Allegiant Stadium from my hotel here, with Super Bowl written all over the side of it. I'm here for the almost as important event, D.I.C.E, which is the big industry. It's like a mini GDC. It's like a GDC, but only the people who like own the companies is kind of the vibe, I bet. I've never been to this before. I've never been to D.I.C.E. I've always wanted to come. There's an awards show on the Thursday, which is pretty much the only public facing thing that happens here. But aside from that, there's an expo. Well, not an expo, I shouldn't call it that. It's a conference. I don't have access to a lot of this stuff because I have a press pass. Press pass was free. The actual pass was $3,500. So I went for the free version, thankfully. But I don't have access to stuff like, for instance, they have like industry roundtables. There's a lot of like, networking within the confines of the conference itself. But there's a bunch of other stuff going on. There's some talks happening. The awards show is obviously on. A couple of other different events they're doing. If you go to D.I.C.E. as an industry person, you can go to they have like a go-kart race that you can sign up to, and a golf thing, and like all this random sort of networking bits and bobs. But what I've experienced here is that most of why people are here, or a lot of the work that gets done, or a lot of the business that gets done, is in meetings that happen either in the hotel, in various suites upstairs, in restaurants, even just like bumping into people. I have bumped into so many people that we have interviewed over the years at in various documentaries. A bunch of our press friends are here. Like Timur Hussein is here from GameSpot, Lucy James, a bunch of devs I've known for years I haven't seen. I had a great chat with Mike Bithell last night, who I interviewed him about Thomas Was Alone like 12 years ago or something when we were both living in London. Who else was here? Paris from Kind of Funny was around. I got to talk to Jeff Keighley. We nerded out on Half-Life stuff because we talked a bunch after we posted the Half-Life doc. I was sort of DMing him. He was DMing me a bit about it. We had a bit of a chinwag. So he's probably the only other person in the world that we can talk to about how fun it is going to Valve and seeing all the weird shit that's at Valve. So when I saw him, I pulled him aside for a second and had a good chat. Chandana Ekanaika, our good friend Eka, from the folks who made Thirsty Suitors, was here as well. I guess he does like a mentoring thing, and a bunch of the students who are part of that were also here. I think they got like free passes as part of some Microsoft industry mentoring thing. So that was cool. I got to meet a bunch of them. A lot of them were asking questions about Noclip. I'm trying to think who else. Frank Cifaldi is here from the Video Game History Foundation. Got to see him. And then I've had meetings, like a lot of meetings about possible Noclip projects in the future, possible other, our white label business stuff as well. And then a lot of just like, I guess, seeing people. So it's been interesting. It's like definitely like, I think pound for pound, I know more people here than just about any conference we've done. It's probably the types of people we tend to talk to. It's like PR, marketing, agencies, leaders of studios, that type of thing. But yeah, it's been a fun time so far.
Sounds good. When you said you were going to Vegas for D.I.C.E, I assumed you were indulging your gambling addiction and going to play some craps.
Doing some craps. Have you ever done any gambling in Vegas before?
No, I don't really gamble at all. I played a lot of cards in high school. Me and my friends would play like basement poker. We get like 20 people, pay $20 each, then makes a nice first and second place pot. A little illegal basement gambling.
Nice.
But other than that, no, I don't. It doesn't really do it for my brain. I always feel like I'm just losing money.
Me too. Yeah, the high that presumably people get from winning would never be high enough to crest over the mountain of financial anxiety that I live with on a day-to-day basis. I remember I came out here once with my brother for his 40th birthday. I splashed out and basically treated him to, we went to like a UFC fight for his 40th birthday. It was like an excuse to go do something silly. And then COVID happened 2 months later, so that was cool. I spent all my sports budget for the next 3 years, which was pretty good. But we came out here, and I'm the same way. I don't really like gambling, but I do like playing cards. I like playing poker night at the Inventory. That was sort of my way into learning how poker works. And then obviously blackjack. And the two of us sat down at a blackjack table, and we were both $300 up after like 40 minutes. And then after like 50 minutes, we were $250 up, and we were like, okay, let's go. Like, you can feel the luck turning, and you're like, oh no, like that that hot moment is gone. Let's get out of here. So that felt pretty good,
Why don't casinos incorporate video games? Or do they? I haven't been to a casino in years, but I feel like, listen, I love Texas Hold'em and I love blackjack, but like I feel like I love almost every video game more than any card game.
Yeah, like when you go to a Dave & Buster's, there's a lot of video game stuff, right? There's like,
you
got
win
your
money at Dave &
Flappy
Buster's,
Bird.
or do you win like tokens?
It's like tickets,
you win tokens
or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's not like
6,000 of them for a plushie.
In Japan, they do have pachinko machines, and that's what Konami does full time now. So in Japan, they had like huge Silent Hill and Metal Gear pachinko machines. But I feel like the last time I went to Vegas, I feel like you start to see a lot more mainstream property. Like there was like Game of Thrones slot machines, Gremlin slot machines.
Yeah,
but it's still.
But slots aren't games, right?
Yeah.
They're like pachinko. It's just luck. It's just a different face of it.
If they had if they had like Counter-Strike slot machines, or I don't know, or
oh God.
or just I don't know. They got to get us somehow. But
I was walking through the casino floor just on the way back. I was at a meeting like 10 minutes ago, and I ran across to my hotel to record this, and I was going through this casino hall, and I saw a bunch of couples sitting down, and the thing I noticed was that everyone was old. Like all the people, and look, it's fucking noon on a Wednesday, right? So like, sure, you're not going to get a lot of, most people have jobs, right? But I was like, oh, all these people are old. And the thing did cross my mind. It's funny you mentioned it. I was thinking, oh, I wonder, will the next generation of people, will there be fewer people who go to these things because they've grown up playing video games? And like, maybe they play with their partner. Maybe they don't. But like, why would you do this shit? Especially the slots. Like if you're going to play a game of like chance that has a bit of skill in it, like, you know, not roulette, but like, you know, poker or, you know, blackjack even to a certain extent or whatever. Like, I get that. You're sort of like using your brain a bit, but especially when it comes to slot machines, like that is like, how can you play slot machines once you've even if you've played like some tappy phone game, at least it requires a modicum of skill.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I was thinking also when I was joking about dice, I was thinking like, imagine if a casino had like some sort of Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop role playing. But then the thought came that that's like, I feel like that's more about collaborative storytelling, because you could just have like a really unfair DM who's like, yeah, there's like a dragon in the closet and he like kills you all. Sorry, give me $100.
I give you $100 and I'll sell you this sword of dragon stone.
It's real money for the in-game stuff. Yeah.
Why isn't there like there must be somewhere like, I guess I've never been to that. What's it called? Is it Excalibur or something? One of the casinos here is like fucking castle.
Yeah, Excalibur.
You know, medieval times. Is Excalibur?
Yeah.
I was thinking like, if you went, what if there was a casino floor, but instead of the casino floor just looking like, you know, fucking red and black carpet and everything is, what if that was themed? You know what I mean? Like you had a medieval, like all the like people at the tables were dressed up. I guess, is that what Caesars is like? I know in that one episode of Friends, Joey's dressed up in like a fucking, you know, Roman Legionnaires outfit or whatever. But like the people behind the dealers aren't dressed up that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm shocked that there isn't more like medieval times level theming of casinos.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Like in the Venetian, it's all Venice, and then you go into an American looking casino. Like why isn't there like a Rainforest Cafe casino here?
Yes. Have you guys ever, probably not, I feel like this maybe is a Northeast thing. Have you guys ever heard of Bugaboo Creek?
No. What the fuck is this?
There was a restaurant. So Rainforest Cafe obviously is like, there's the talking animals and they shoot steam out into your food and whatever. Bugaboo Creek was like a Northeast lumberjack themed version of Rainforest Cafe.
Oh,
that existed
like Paul
where
Bunyan kind of.
Well, it was like there was like a big talking animatronic moose on the wall that would like tell you about the specials that were going on and stuff. And I looked it up recently, and I had like a traumatic core memory flood back to me of because they would have the animals on the wall, but then at Christmas time they would have like a animatronic Christmas tree, but it kind of looked like Grimace a little bit. Like it was really frightening. And I saw it and I immediately had like a trauma reaction. Like I was seeing someone who had like mugged me 10 years ago and I'd repressed the memory.
Oh my God, I'm literally looking at a picture at this fucking animatronic tree and it is as
it's really scary.
Oh my God, because it kind of doesn't look like it's animatronic from far away. No. But if you get, and are all so is it all animatronic like heads of animals on walls? That type of
that's
thing?
Also why it's kind of morbid. Is they're presumably dead?
It's like taxidermied, but they're like speaking to you from fucking beyond the grave while you're eating.
Yeah, like
presumably you're not eating moose, but like you're having a steak sandwich or something, and there's a buffalo talking to you or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think Bugaboo Creek probably is closed down by now, but rest in peace, Bugaboo Creek.
That is what. That's like what's the one in South Park, Casa Bonita?
Yeah,
it's like the
forgot about that
with the cliff divers and all that. Do you know they bought that?
Matt Parker and Trey Stone or Matt Stone, whatever the names are. It
was going out of business, and they bought it. There's a great like 60 Minutes or like some TV channel from Texas it's like San Antonio or somewhere. I forget where it is. It's like somewhere like that, Houston maybe. And they bought it and they had all the cliff divers and all that shit.
That's awesome.
So weird.
I mean, if you have that kind of money, I feel like it's like donate a bunch of it, take care of your loved ones, and then like, you know, maybe put aside like 15% of your millions to do dumb shit with, right?
Oh my God, is it in Vegas? No, it's not. It can't be.
You have to go if it is.
If it's in Vegas, I have to go. Oh no, this is an apartment complex. It looks like.
No, yeah,
It's in Denver, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
That's where they're
Yeah,
from.
it's in
Denver,
Colorado, yeah.
Mm.
Casa Bonita. Look at this shit. Lakewood, Colorado. Is that what it says? Is it Denver? Yeah, it must be outside it. I want to go to Casa Bonita. No, none of that. I could go to Circus or, all that stuff. I flew in. I don't know why I did this. I booked a flight at 8 a.m. from SFO on Tuesday. Like, I don't live that close to San Francisco. I shouldn't be doing that. That's like...
Yeah, that's like a 4 a.m. morning.
It was a 4:30, and my daughter had like an ear infection the night before, so I went to bed at 9, and then she woke up crying at 10, and I was like, well, I'm now making it a sob story about me and my poor child is in pain, but she now is medicated. I'm still tired, Terrible.
There's no medicine for that.
There's no medicine for that. Well, it's sleep,
there
I
is,
guess.
but I feel like you would go insane.
And that's the problem. So I had a bunch of games I was going to play on the flight. I mean, it's a short flight. It's like an hour. I flew over the snowpack in the Sierras, though. It's looking good, Jeremy. It looks like a lot of snow landed. It looks really cool. We flew over Yosemite, and I was like, ooh. And then we flew over Death Valley, and I was like, ooh, I want to be in the desert recording Half-Life documentaries. But I had planned on playing a bunch of games. So I have played a little bit of a lot of games because of Next Fest, and then there's a couple of games I want to talk about that I actually haven't played enough of, but I do want to talk about them because I had planned to talk about them anyway. But before we do that, massive shout out to all of our incredible Battle Pass holders: Harry Flanagan, Battle Royale Games, Arno, Richard Matherson, James Brown, Jason Drury, Mark Rojas, Ryan Cobb, Tucker Morgan, Crimson Cyclist, Sven Ooster, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Cameron Ladd. You got two of them this week. Zachary Snader, Alex Sharp, Alex Goucher, George Sikotis, Jacob Godserve, Tohir Tiliev, and of course, Ryson. Thank you all so much for supporting us over at patreon.com/noclip. Make sure you sign up to our free Patreon over at patreon.com/noclipcrew. A great video that should be live by the time you're listening to this. Jesse Garasha put a great video about the Next Fest games. 10 of the best Next Fest games. Jesse played like a shitload of Next Fest games on Steam over the past week or so. Most of the demos are down, it seems like, but some of them have still stayed up. We'll talk about a few in a second, but he played loads of them, and we were all knocking our heads together. Jeremy had no power for like 4 days last week. I had my hero passed away last week as well. There was a lot of shit going on, and like we basically got together for our meeting about what were the best Next Fest games, and Jesse had played 5 times more than anyone. So it's just like, you just go make the video. You're the expert. You go make the video. So check out his awesome video. It's about 10 minutes long, 10 upcoming Steam games that you'll probably want to wish list. There's a good chance that one of those games is going to be your favorite games of the year. So check out the video. Okay, I'm going to talk about some of those games in a bit, but it's probably the right time to talk about Helldivers 2. Because boy, oh boy, this thing just came out of, well, it didn't come out of nowhere. People were excited about it, but it has blown up on PS5 and PC. People are loving it. It's your Paul Verhoeven, Starship Troopers ass video game you've always wanted. And people are, seemingly having a lot of fun with it. Frank, you probably played the most of it out of us, I'm guessing. How you enjoying it?
Yeah, I'm so surprised how good it is. I really like the first Helldivers. I think it was like a PlayStation Plus game back in 2015. It was just one of those random, like, I still use the term Xbox Live Arcade, but like small indie games. But I played it with a bunch of friends, and even the original Helldivers was funny because it's like, all right, they're going for the Starship Troopers things. The camera's isometric, but the kind of joy was the chaos of accidentally team killing your friends and being overloaded. But it was kind of like challenging. I don't know if it was maybe isometric. We were playing with controllers and a keyboard and mouse. So I was a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, it was like a twin stick shooter, right? And it kind of felt like you said, it was like an isometric angle, and it was like it felt very Xbox Live Arcade game. Whereas Helldivers 2 is like a third person shooter.
It's mind blowing. So I'm playing it on PS5, and it's a third person shooter. They brought the camera down. The graphics are like it's weird because it's like the scale of the art style and production value it's still good. It doesn't seem like the most, I don't know, AAA thing, but it looks stunning. Lighting effects, colors, everything. So it's third person over the shoulder, like shooting. With the PS5, it has the incredible like haptic feedback. When you hold the trigger, you have that resistance. It feels good. It is great. It's what I really like about it is compared to like other multiplayer shooters, I've never even really played many extraction shooters, but a single mission can be like 10 minutes. So it's like, which is the perfect length. You squad up with your friends. You crossplay works. Opening weekend, I think they sold more copies than anticipated. So there were a little bit of like connection issues. But once you're in a server with your friends, it's easy. You pick your loadout, you jump in a mission, you can pick your missions, and it's just so fun and chaotic and silly. So like, yeah, it's being sold as like the Starship Troopers things. There's bug planets, but there's a lot of different planet varieties, and every planet has a completely different aesthetic. The thing I just recently discovered that I'm obsessed with is there's a whole ass like Terminator, like there's robots in this game, and it's straight up Terminator, and also like Star Wars with like the AT-ATs, whatever they're called, like. So I'm obsessed with like the crazy robot stuff in this game, but it's super, super fun. A lot of friends have been getting it, so it seems easy to squad up with people. But yeah, I will say like it is that chaos where we're screaming at friends trying to be revived. They give you enough like lives. So I think for every player you have in your server, you have like 5 lives. So you can have 20 lives if you're with a full squad of 4. So we've yet to fail a mission. So it's stressful at the time, but it seems friendly enough with resources, respawns. There's a mechanic in the game called like stratagems. These are special like cheat codes you punch in, so you can call in like rocket launchers, machine guns, ammo, nukes, like Gears of War, just come from the sky and obliterate everything in your path. When you like shotgun off bugs, like their shells crack open and blood and guts spill out. They're also puking at you. With the robots, you shoot like their parts off, and it's it's so cool. Like again, I feel maybe I'm only
stratagem stuff like makes me laugh so much because it's basically a grenade that you have, and when you like arm it, there's a bunch of like different like Konami code like it's like down, left, right, up, down. Will set the thing to get you. Like there's like a menu on the screen where you're like, oh, do you want like this to give you a reinforcement, or do you want this to like make an orbital explosion sort of happen, like some small ones to really big ones. And when you do it, you throw the grenade, and then it basically does a countdown, and it like sort of like Titanfall, the kind of, what do you call that when they dropped in? Whatever that was,
orbital strike.
Whenever the Titans came down, remember? Whatever that was called. When you called in your Titan and it came down, that's what happens with these things. So like, for instance, if you were to like order in like an AI companion to help, if one of your party accidentally walks where you've just thrown the stratagem, it comes out of space and just fucking crushes them. Like, or you can accidentally team, because there's a delay, because it's not like you throw a grenade and it explodes. It's like you throw the grenade hoping that the aliens are still in the spot where you threw the grenade in the 8 seconds it takes for this thing to come down and like do it. So it's like, I've never seen a game design something in a way that it's probably going to create some chaos. Yeah. Like it's intentionally like it has enough wiggle room in it that like this might go bad. Actually, you can punch the wrong code in. You know what I mean? Like you can try and get something and fuck it up and have to restart the code. Yeah, I've never seen that in a game where the up, down, left, right, putting in a cheat code of like it's basically you trying to do a fatality, like every time you call one of these things in. And if you fuck it up, like if you're trying to like get this orbit, like you're really trying to time it, right? There's a bunch of aliens coming. You're like, I need to throw this thing right here. And then you like go, like, you're like, fuck. And then you're like, and then you realize you've ordered the wrong one in or whatever. Like and then it lands on your mate. Like the game is just chaos and seems to really, I don't know, that's where the fun is. And to Frank's point, the fact that you can die so often and then it's fun, it kind of feels funny because it's just like reinforcements coming in, and all the reinforcements are like super jazzed to be a part of the Helldivers, even though they are just fucking lambs to the slaughter. Like it's just cannon fodder. So like the next one so that's even funny. Like when you die, it's kind of funny because this new fresh meat drops in and they're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Another like great thing too is you can have like turrets drop down, your machine gun turrets. But if you stand between the aliens and the turrets, you will die. And like, it's great because every time I'll die, I'll scream and I'll see like, oh, I was killed by Frank Howley. Like I was killed by my own turret or killed by my own grenades. And like, I'll be playing with friends and they'll be like, all right, I just dropped a bunch of landmines, be careful. And then I run in and die. And they're like, yeah, I called it out. Like, but it's funny. And I think like, I don't know. Again, I get turned off from competitive shooters. This is a, like, what do you call it? PvE type of experience, but it's joyous. And like, I played Call of Duty DMZ. I have never touched like Tarkov or, I forget what the hunting one is, like the one that's like kind of
Hunt Showdown. Or,
Hunt Showdown. Those games seem so scary, intimidating. This one seems like, again, it's like satirical, it's comedic, it's like it's like, okay, I can play this and not take it too seriously, and it's very fun. And I even found out, like, I was playing with friends last night, and all 4 of us died, and it's like, can we do the mission? And it just all respawns you at once. So it's like, it took 4 lives, but there wasn't an immediate fail mission state. You still respawn, which I thought was like gracious. I don't know if they did that in the first one, but it was like, and I'm playing on medium, which I was afraid to because the original was so hard. But medium seems, and it starts you on easy. I haven't played medium solo, but it seems like it's
solo. I will say the game is maybe tricky solo.
Yeah.
I think you miss out on a lot of the fun. I think it feels a bit more like busy work. I think this is more enjoyable that way.
Yeah.
And it has such a community vibe to it. Like the way you pick missions is this sort of it's like a global like invasion force, right? So is it Super Earth? Is it the name
Super Earth? Yeah, spreading
Super
democracy.
Yeah, like I swear to God, the opening intro to this, Jeremy, if you've not seen, have you seen the intro to this?
I played a ton of the first one though.
It is 100% like Verhoeven style. Like, we're here, like you're basically in suburbia and like showing the family, and then fucking aliens start eating your child's face, and it's like, and then it freeze frames, and then the guy who's in the video is presenting the video. It's like,
oh, that's awesome.
It's very well done.
I love that.
But what's happening, I guess, is that like there's a sort of a global invasion that is the case for everyone playing the game in the world at the same time. Where there are like, is it 3 different fronts coming in? There's like 3 different invasion forces, and some of them are closer than others. And you can basically pick which one you're going to go attack, and then go to a planet within that sector. Imagine that like this mega Earth is in the middle, and then there's all these forces coming in from 3 sides of the screen. And then you basically, some are closer than others, and then you basically go into a mission and then pick somewhere, and then that's adding to the global, like it's almost like Nobby Nobby Boy or something, where like the global stretch limit of Nobby Nobby Boy is added up, and then eventually, the whole community has reached as far as Saturn, and then Saturn gets unlocked in the game. Like it's a similar kind of thing where this invasion force is there. So even there, it feels like you are like within the universe of the game, they are trying to sell this thing that you are a enthusiastic protector of Super Earth, and that you're part of this like kind of like Starship Troopers, almost like party of death in space, this like very youthful, like we're going to go out there and protect democracy and freedom. And the game's like sort of meta is based around that as well, which is kind of fun. Like it's like, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to this planet and do this mission, and then that'll help the cause. But like, then like dozens of you die doing it, doing the mission.
That's a clever framing device, because I feel like games like this, because the structure of this reminds me a little bit of Deep Rock Galactic, where it's like there's a hub and you're with your boys and you're kind of like upgrading your stuff, and then you go to the big globe shaped thing and pick your next mission and get in the pod.
Yeah, because you have a ship, right? You used to run a ship as well, yeah.
And I like the idea of having sort of like a global meta to it, because it sometimes like the thing that I try to avoid in games like that is sometimes my brain will be like, oh, these are just little like instanced little toy boxes, and then you're kind of just bouncing between these little inconsequential, separate, like segmented missions. So any sort of context where it's like contributing to it, even if it's narrative context or like a leaderboard or like a global score like that, I think that's cool. It makes it feel like it's part of a grander arc than just these individual missions. The
setup is also so funny because like I've never enjoyed a tutorial as much because it's just ridiculous. Like they are trying to get you qualified, like earn your cape. It's a very smart, like it just feels like design within an inch of its life, because you start the game, you get dropped off at this like training facility, but like you're the only person there, and like at the start it's like earn your cape, and by the end of it you get a cape, right? But like it's basically teaching you how to like use the stratagems and like jump and crouch and all that shit. But the narrator who's like talking to you over the thing is like very much taking the piss out of the whole thing. Like, you jump over the box in the way and it's like, I've never seen such peak athleticism and all this sort of shit, And like one of the things you have to do is like salute the flag, like that's awesome. While these like aliens are attacking you, and the salute is like a sort of a fist in the sky. It's very like space fash, you know what I mean? It's very, you kind of you like Starship Troopers perhaps. you feel like maybe you're the bad guys, even though you're protecting Super Earth, right? You all look like space Nazis. So I think that's also kind of fun. And then when you complete your mission, your training, you get like a fucking space Harrier. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, hello, Captain. And I've just graduated. And like, you've got a fucking ship. Like, it's the size of a fucking planet. It's very, it's a good time. They seem to have a lot of fun with this. Made in Sweden as well.
Yeah.
Just added to the list of teams. This studio is founded way up in North Sweden. I think they might have a studio in Stockholm where this is getting put together, but I think their HQ or where they're originally from is way up, like up in the boonies in the north of Sweden. So that's pretty cool. They know something about fighting Nazis, I'll tell you that much.
That's where the famous like sniper dude was from, who got like 200 killed or whatever, right? I don't know. There's like a famous Scandinavian sniper from World War II who like hid solo in the woods and killed like 220 Nazis or something.
Amazing.
I haven't heard this story. I was obsessed with World War II when I was in high school, so I haven't heard this in a while. But
well, the Finns, I guess, did a lot to. Well, that was the Russians, wasn't it? As well, they were pushing back. I forget.
Oh, maybe it was Finland. I'll have to look up this sniper. This is not a sniper podcast, but maybe the next one will be a sniper podcast.
Not a World War II podcast. Yeah, any other final thoughts on Helldivers?
I will say also again, if anyone's on the edge or whatever, it's $40, not full on 70 or whatever. And I would say it's worth the $40. The polish, the again, just discovering, like I was doing the bug planets like the opening week with the friends, and then because that was the like campaign they were pushing as a community thing. But I was like, let me see the robot thing, and just seeing it full on James Cameron, like it looks like the planet I did looks like it's in the jungle, so it's also kind of Vietnam, but it looks like Terminator 2 opening with like those robots with machine guns shooting you, and it's like, oh, this is the Terminator game I've always wanted. It's so I'm excited to see what more gets unlocked. And again, it gets more difficult. Like the robot stuff was way harder, but the more you play, you can unlock different weapons and stuff. And so I've been having fun with a shotgun as my main, and then a SMG pistol as my secondary. And I'm about to unlock the jetpack. So it's like, I was also thinking like, this is kind of what Destiny should be. It's so slimmed down. There's no crappy story stuff. I apologize. There's no story stuff. It's just, hey, kill bugs. Great. My friends can join. Great. We don't have to all have the same equipment. We don't have to care about light levels. I don't care. Just shoot stuff. It's like Gauntlet Legends at the arcade. It's just old school, simple fun. So huge. Like I like it a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm with you on that. They stripped it down and the shooting's very good. Like all that stuff feels really good. So yeah, well, pretty crazy how big this is blown up. I think it's the biggest selling Sony exclusive or biggest opening for a Sony published game on PC. So really, really surprising, or not surprising, just an interesting new game that blew up. But there obviously was a lot of heat with it coming out as well. So check it out. Helldivers 2. I want to quickly talk about some Next Fest stuff that I played. Some of this stuff I think I mentioned last week, and a lot of this is going to be in Jesse's video as well. So I'm going to kind of skim over this. That demo for Pacific Drive is still up. I actually bought that in a pack because they're both published by Kepler Interactive. I bought that and Ultros, which we were talking about last week with the super vivid green oozy art style. That's what I had planned to play on my Steam Deck on the flight over. I have it locked and loaded here. It literally, I think it was when I woke up that morning, I woke up early before the flight to download it, but then slept the entire flight. So sorry for that. Well, except I woke up to take a picture of the Sierras. That was it. So I'm still looking forward to playing that. I have not done it yet, but it seems like people are into Ultros. It's got I had it here a second ago on Steam. I think it's positive reviews so far. It's it's $22 at the moment. And the pack with Pacific Drive was $44, down from $54. And Pacific Drive is out pretty soon as well, February 22nd. So we'll probably be talking about that next week as well. So looking forward to chatting about both of those next week. I played a bunch of games. I think I talked about some of them last week. The one game I want to mention that I also did not play, but I wanted to play, and I have it on my Switch, is Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore. Have you heard about this?
No.
So it's on Switch. It's also on Steam, I think. Yeah, it's on Steam too. So basically, somebody just Google it. Just look up what I just typed in, or it's on the document there. And I haven't played this yet, so I don't know if it's any good, but I think I want to talk about it because it's a funny setup. Can you see it?
Yeah. Is it like the CDI Zelda games or whatever?
100%.
Cool. That's awesome.
Wow.
Yes. So somebody has made an actual video game, like a platformer that is basically a piss take of the famous CDI Zelda games, which had all those ridiculous like animations in between the levels. It's called Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore. I have no idea if it's any good. It came out yesterday. I have to play it, but it looks fucking deranged.
Oh man, no. Just looking at this feels like this year's like what was the pizza game last year?
Pizza Tower.
Pizza Tower. Where it's like, oh yeah, it's nailing it. I am so sold on the cutscenes. It looks so funny. Like
the cutscenes look so bad, but in like clearly a lot of art went into them, a lot of work went into them. They have just like it's like a time before aliasing. It's just everything has this horrible stroke to it. Like
I love to see people. This and Pizza Tower are both like they're so well realized styles, but I really like to see people embracing pixel styles that aren't kind of like a lot of pixel art is very kind of like doing what old pixel art looks like in your brain, like super cleaned up and polished and not meant for CRT TVs, but like very leaned into this kind of small, minimalist, very like aesthetically pleasing pixel art. I kind of like these like big, weird sprites that some of these games are doing, like this in Pizza Tower. It rocks.
Yeah, just a Gaussian blur on the background, to give you the idea of depth. It's got like boss fights, lots of different biomes. I think what was it where I mentioned that last week, the whole thing Rex said in the Monkey Island doc about how like in these games the only thing we get to reward you with is new art. I feel like I will play this game just to see how fucked up all these cutscenes are. Like that's kind of where my brain is. So I haven't played it, so I can't say anything else, but it's on Steam and Switch. Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore. I don't know why I didn't get it on fucking Steam. I should have done that. I don't know. Could have played on my Steam Deck and looked. Can you imagine what people on a plane would think if I was playing this fucking nonsense?
It's a hot new game.
Exactly.
It also looks like something that would be uploaded to like Newgrounds in 2002 or like Cartoon Network. It's again, it looks good.
Jeremy, you played some Arco, is that right? I played a little bit of the demo and bounced off. I should probably give it some more time. How have you found it? The demo is what's out, right? The game's not out yet.
The game is not out yet. So I have, as mentioned, my power was out for like a week, so I didn't have a lot of time to get into Next Fest demos. So I've started chipping into them this week. And it's kind of a weird conundrum because like some of the games I'm most excited to play the actual game, like Hollow Body, I kind of don't want to play the demo because I know I'm gonna play Hollow Body, so it's like you don't need to sell me, you don't need to come out with the free sample tray. I'm like I'm here for the meal. But Arco, I thought looked interesting. Didn't really know much about it, and hopped into it. And it's kind of I would describe it as like a anti-colonialist Western with turn-based combat. But it's very interestingly structured. So the demo has kind of two different ways to play it. There's a little slice of the story mode that you can play, or like the kind of adventure, and then there's an arena mode. And so at first I saw arena mode and I was like, oh, that's cool. You get to like test out the combat more or whatever. But I'm more interested in like, when I think of an RPG battle system, it's interesting to me because it's embedded in this larger experience. Kind of like I was saying about the Helldivers thing. Like the individual instance is so elevated by being part of this larger thing. So I played the story mode in Arco, which is really cool. It's kind of short, but I think that's good for a demo. Like it left me wanting a lot more. But I loved the combat system so much that I started doing the arena, and I've played like almost 2 hours of just this demo, and I would say like 80% of it was just doing the arena. So the combat system is it's turn-based, but I would describe it as like semi-real time. And it's interesting because I was recently playing, I've played like a little bit of Tyranny, and I played some Pillars of Eternity for capture for the Pentiment doc and stuff. And those are like real-time RPGs where you're kind of pausing and getting everyone their like moves synced up, and then you hit go and then you let it go. This is very different. It has like a turn phase where it projects kind of what the enemy is going to do, and then you choose what you're going to do. You can move, you can shoot arrows, you can pick your skills and stuff. There's like a mana cost, so it's very traditional RPG battle system in that sense. But the thing that I think is really genius about it is when everything unfolds, there's a short period in which everyone executes their movement and attacks and stuff that happens in real time. But there's a little bit of kind of ambiguity in the order in which things happen. So some moves take longer than others. Some moves happen instantly. Some things happen at the end of the turn as like a dedicated thing. But it's kind of like this. It invites you to like really try to understand the way in which these things happen and get a feel for it, and get a feel for which enemies attack fast and which enemies attack slow. And yeah, I don't know, just something about like introducing that level of ambiguity and uncertainty and kind of like real-time shakiness to a turn-based combat system like this. It feels like it's scratching the same part of my itch that likes like Divinity Original Sin 2 and Baldur's Gate. But the real-time element of it just makes it feel like it has a little bit of more chaos and ambiguity that I really like.
The look of the game is hard to like pin down. You should just look up Arco ARCO on Steam and give it a look. It's like the figures that you control are small, and it's like very, I wouldn't call it pixely, but it's angular maybe, but it's very lush and like, you know, fantastical at times as well. The combat is kind of hard to explain, isn't it? It's like almost like it's like nobody moves or everyone moves. It's like when you decide to do your move, like time pauses, but unlike like another turn-based battle system where you like move your character and everyone else is still, you know, like in Midnight Suns, right, where you like move your character and everyone is still standing still, and then you do your attack and they're still standing still. The minute you move, kind of like super hot almost, when you decide where you're going and what you're doing, they're all moving. If you decide to move, they can start moving too. And then if you throw something, then the minute that leaves your hand, they all start moving. So you're right, you have to sort of like anticipate in a way. I think I need to play a bit more of it. I kind of felt when I was playing the story mode, I don't want to play an hour of this story mode because when this game comes out, I will have to play an hour of this story mode again. And that was the thing I was feeling. So I actually might jump into this. Is the demo still up? It looks like as well.
Demo is still up, or at least has not been pulled from my Steam library.
Excellent.
Yeah, the arena is very fun. It also has a bunch of different characters that you can try out. From what I gather, the story is going to be kind of an anthology thing where you're like, here's the story of this person. You play their mini campaign and kind of like a series of mini vignetted stories, so that you can play different characters with different play styles. So in the arena, you start as like the character from the story, but you can go up to someone and switch to like the glass cannon, or there's like a duo who one is like a support character and one's like a ranged character. So it lets you play out different play styles and stuff. But yeah, it's just like there's something about it where it's like if you see a character is going to move, trying to like set up the intercept and getting a feeling for like the timing and the spatial relationships for everything. It's really interesting. And it's funny because I think if you recorded an entire battle in this, like a big battle in this game, and you cut out all the decision-making parts and you just put in the real-time stuff, I think a battle probably takes like 30 seconds.
Right.
But it's cool how like it slices up time in a really interesting way. And it takes these, I mean, because like, you know, a gunfight in the Old West would last like 5 seconds. Everyone pulls out their guns and everyone's like, most of the people are dead in a second. So taking that experience and just like stretching it out as far as possible. It's really clever. I have played other RPGs that are kind of like adjacent to this, like I mentioned with the real-time CRPG stuff, but nothing quite like this.
It's it's got a Western aesthetic to it. The characters, are this is not Earth, is it? Or I don't know what's going on. It seems like it's its own world, maybe, but it's very much like one of them looks like a Native American, another looks like a sort of a Mexican or Latin American.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if the story is the story mode rather is very short in the demo, so it's the farthest back in my memory. I feel like it definitely references like real plants and cultures and stuff, but I don't know if it does it by name. I think it does. I feel like they're going for a very specific type of like anti-colonialist kind of like Central American tale of like natives fighting back in a Western style.
That's what it feels like, but also there seems to be a lot of like magic and like, at least in some of the trailers, the like the places you are and some of the things look like quite fantastical.
Oh,
so
really?
I don't know.
I haven't seen any of that.
That's what I was trying to pin down, whether or not this was something that was very much like this is a time and place, like kind of like what Weird West did. Well, Weird West is an interesting one too, right? Because Weird West is clearly set in a version of the West, but it's weird, right? So I wonder if this is similar, where it's like, oh yeah, it's like it has lots of the tropes and things you would associate, cultural associations you'd have with that time and era, but it's not actually, we're not saying it's, America in the 18th century or whatever,
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I'll have to replay the story and see if there's any specific references. There's also a lot of interesting stuff you could do with like a lot of in college I studied a lot of South American indigenous folk religions, and in a lot of those regions there is like magic. Like part of a lot of Mesoamerican indigenous folk religion talks about like supernatural forces and stuff, and like South American shaman in certain cultures do like they shoot like magic darts at each other. They like curse each other, and then it's
amazing.
It's like it's like a PvP a realm, open world PvP where you're like cursing other shamans and stuff. So yeah, I could also see a game leaning into kind of like indigenous folk magic and kind of like amplifying it or literalizing it a little bit more.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
There you go. That's Arco. Demo is available at time of recording. Go check it out. All right, that was what we played this week. A bit of a weird week for everyone here. Do we have any emails this week, Frank? Sorry, you prepared all the doc stuff before I was here.
Yeah, we have a few emails. And again, if people want to send in emails, podcasts@noclip.video or in our patron exclusive Discord. Our first is from Cartooner. My question for the podcast is the Yakuza series an outlier in the gaming industry, or are there other similar games/series like it? Trying to think of how to even categorize that type of game. A mix of mini games, RPG, humor, etc.
God, that's a good question. To me, it feels like a genre unto itself, in the same way that like Onimusha does as well. And like there are some games that are very singular, like especially due to the fact that the latest ones they've sort of become more mainstream only recently, I think, or maybe that's biased because I've only started playing them recently, but it seems like these games are selling more than ever before, like a Dragon did, and now Infinite Wealth seems like it's doing really well. God, I don't know any open world games that have this sort of vibe or anything.
Yeah, to me, they feel a little bit like the magic of that PS2 Grand Theft Auto trilogy of 3, Vice City and San Andreas, where each one was like, whoa, you can do this in this game now, this in this game now. Although, like, what makes Yakuza interesting is, like, it's not, the map is, it's weird. It's big because it's so dense. Every building is a mini game or something, whereas Grand Theft Autos are massive. You can't go inside. But, like, I think the combination of, like, you can do a story and there's sincere stuff, and then everything else in the world is so silly. I think just the tone it's kind of like, Japan's Grand Theft Auto, but not literally.
Is it fair? Yeah. Is it fair to say that those, because my experience with those early Yakuza games was that they had some of that stuff going on, but like the main stories were fairly straight laced and self-serious. Like they had wackiness in them, but like now, like those were Tony Hawk, and now like this is underground.
Yeah.
Like, these games are leaning into the madness a bit.
And I feel like Yakuza 0 was like the watershed moment of like, okay, this takes place in the 80s. Let's turn it up and be sillier. And because like I went back to like Kiwami 1 and 2, and I know they even spiced those up. But yeah, like the side quests aren't as crazy. It's not as a Looney Tunes world. Whereas like the later ones, like, and that's also kind of why like the Lost Judgment games or the Judgment games I didn't enjoy as much, because they're pretty straight, and it's the Kiryu, the Like a Dragon, and Yakuza, they're so silly and crazy. And yeah, now Infinite Wealth is, I mean, like the core story has all that, but everything else in the game is just so silly, but that's what I love too. But yeah,
are the Persona games at all have any of that craziness on the side? Were you just about to say that?
I was just about to say the Persona games are kind of not quite what Cartooner is describing, but they're definitely like, you have your dungeon section and you come back into the world and you run around and you go get like, food at the diner, or you go like to the batting cages and stuff. It's not quite as like mini gamey, I guess. It's more kind of, you're not like going there and doing like a whole mini game for these things. Usually it's just kind of like dialogue options and kind kind of just hanging out with your characters. So it's more visual novelty in that sense, but definitely like the sense of having a world where you're going around and do it free choice of a bunch of weird activities in a limited open world, kind of similar.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like about these games, that they are so unique. Like I've never really played anything, especially with the tone, especially with a character who is just so. It's like I hate Ted Lasso. Like that show is fucking garbage to me because it's like Jason Sudeikis just wrote this guy to be like the most fucking nice guy in the world, and like there's no tension or anything about him that I find interesting. And then this game is basically the same thing, where it's this guy who is just, I mean, he has lots of faults and he doesn't always get everything right. I mean, he spends a lot of time in prison, everything else. But like the half of the fun of this story is just seeing him like be nice to people and like be so, like, even though he like lived in a criminal underworld for most of his life, he just trusts everyone. You know, nothing makes sense. So I don't know. So like, as much as I criticize Ted Lasso and think less of people who enjoy it, as much as I don't like that thing, I'm playing like a dragon, going like I'm just like a stand for this dude. I just want him to do really well.
I feel like the grittiness of like, because Yakuza works to me because that purity is in direct contrast to the grittiness of a lot of the things happening around these characters. So it's like, it's not like, I mean, I haven't really seen much of Ted Lasso. From what I gather, you know, he's just like a nice soccer coach. But I feel like the fact that Kiryu and Ichiban are these pure, honorable people in a world that like, it would probably benefit them to be scoundrels. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's this kind of thing where it's like, oh, they're so good that even though they're beset on all sides,
yeah, exactly. They're
by
so good.
The valley of shadow, they're still like, they're almost like biblically pure or something.
Yeah, exactly. Man. So no, I can't think of the other games. Sorry, Cartoon.
The other Yakuza games is the answer.
And then we had another email. Michael Pacholik wrote in about Steam Next Fest games. They wanted to share their favorites. They said, hey, friends, for the first time ever, I tried a few demos during Steam Next Fest. It reminded me of back in the day when I would get demo discs from PlayStation Magazine and play demos for Parappa the Rapper, Armored Core, and Fighting Force. For this Next Fest, I gave The Inquisitor a try. This game is from a team in Poland called The Dust and is basically The Witcher 2 set in an alt history version of the world where Christ came back as a vengeful king. You play as an Inquisitor in the 1500s, and in the demo, you're on the hunt for a vampire. The game feels witchery in how quests play out, mechanics unfold, and it even has that classic Witcher 2 jankiness. It's definitely interesting, but does feel very familiar in its presentation. Next, I decided to give Synergy a try based on the recommendation from last week's podcast. It's a really cool, beautiful, and chill city builder. Definitely a great find. Finally, I wanted to check out Dungeonborn. It sounded interesting as a PvPvE dungeon crawl game, but the game's pace is excruciatingly slow, and I rage quit after joining what I thought was a solo dungeon, and when I got ganked by another player, it turned out to be a PvP multiplayer thing in a dark mansion with monsters wandering around. It's kind of a weird game, but
I almost played this because it felt like a dungeon crawling extraction shooter.
Yeah, it's like Dark and Darker.
Yes, but for some reason I could not get past the name. I felt like I was playing like one of those fucking mobile games that they Dungeonborn. I was like, come on, guys.
I ate a food truck, and recently I was worried about Dungeonborn illness. You know what I mean? It's like
exactly right. I was like, you could have called it Dragon Souls or something. It would have had the same effect. You know what I mean? Like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, it also feels like a game that would take place in like Zane Lofton's world. Like, yeah, have you played Dungeonborn? I don't know. The name's kind of selling me.
That's growing on me.
But yeah, he said kind of a weird game, but maybe with more time in the oven and a tutorial would be cool. All in all, I'm really glad Steam puts on Next Fest as a way to encourage people to try out new games. And then P.S. absolutely loving the new Noclip Crew content. I even watched the entire Heroes of Might and Magic Fat session broken up into parts, and then I installed HOMM3. All the best.
Nice.
Michael Pacholik, a.k.a. Faux Dragon.
Oh, Jeremy, you haven't had a chance to play that Heroes of Might and Magic 3 game that we talked about privately last week, right?
No, I haven't had a chance to play it. I downloaded it. What's it
called again?
Do
you remember the name?
Oh God, I can pull up the email really quick.
Yeah, look it up. I think it actually might be one of our community who made it. It was on my list of Steam games, and then I got an email about it at some stage. I forget, but it's very Heroes of Might and Magic 3, which as the thanks to Jeremy, we are now the loudest voice for Heroes of Might and Magic 3
Google
fans on the
Heroes of Might and
internet.
Magic 3, that video comes up on the first page.
You just, yeah, it should be 2 of them now, probably. But it's like that, but it looks like sci-fi kind of vibe to it.
Silence of the Siren.
There we go.
By
Silence
Oxymoron
of
Games.
the Siren.
Oxymoron Games also has an unbelievable logo, if I recall correctly.
That logo is amazing.
It is 2 hands shaking, and the wrist of each hand is a gun. So it's two hands shaking with guns pointing at either person. It's unbelievable.
Exactly.
It's so good.
When I saw the name of the studio, I went, I'm not sure if I like that name for the studio. And then I saw the logo when the game booted up, and I was instantly converted. I was like, nope, that's great.
It's really good.
You justified it. Yeah. What's called Silence of the Siren.
Yes.
Did it have it? Is the demo for that
the
still
demo
up?
is still available.
Okay, so if you're a HOMM3 fan, the fucking screenshots for this game look so good.
It's really good. I downloaded it.
I
haven't
like
played
the
it
look
yet
of it.
because it's like you can't dabble with like a hero's I gotta set aside. I gotta do
That's true.
as fat a sesh as a demo will allow.
Exactly. I think we should do a thing. We have so many developers in our community. On our Discord, also, Jeremy recently made sure that we put in a game dev channel, which I don't know why the fuck I'd never thought of that before, but that's obviously like a great idea because there's so many devs who are patrons, but are in our wider community too. Like we've talked about doing like a game jam or something. Even if we had a show or something, maybe on Crew where we played games from people in our community or something like that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that might be pretty cool. But yeah, that game looks rad. Speaking of fat sessions, I'm not sure if we're confirmed on this one, but we were thinking maybe me and Jeremy would do half a day playing Fallout 4, so I could get to watch you enjoy Boston in its digital form.
You mean so I could give you a tour of my home city? Yeah. Although I hear it's not in great shape in Fallout 4. Yeah. I was gonna get us tickets to the Sox, and it just seemed like a whole thing. Diamond City, I called someplace and they didn't have tickets, so.
Yeah, exactly. So look out for that. What else do we have coming up? So the Monkey Island doc is obviously done. Pentiment is getting worked on at the moment. The Stunt Derby publisher video too. Just everything's kind of a little bit, bit of a quiet week this week just because we're all, we had no power last week, and then I'm in Vegas for much of this week. We have the great little behind the scenes video about our time filming Pentiment at Obsidian. Go check that out. Awesome work on the edit there, Frank. Really loved it. We also did a post-mortem on the Monkey Island doc, which was sort of like a test video we did for the $10 patrons. It's an hour long of me and Jeremy basically getting into the weeds on what it was like putting that documentary together, answering some questions from the community on it, and yeah, kind of letting you know behind the scenes of like how the sausage of the sausage gets made, in terms of like dealing with publishers and dealing with, that was a Disney property and like what extra sort of, admin it takes to get access when you've got a large corporation holding a lot of the cards and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that at all, go check out our Patreon. We've bunches of bits and bobs over there. We might have a Helldivers video. I think we're recording that Friday. We're going to try and get the 4 of us together in on a game. That should be a lot of fun. That Next Fest video should be up by the time you're listening to this over on Noclip Crew as well. We are also recording our first episode of Super Mario Oddities. Is that Friday too? Or are we doing that next week?
That is Friday, yeah. If we could squeeze in Helldivers
cool.
as well, that'd be ideal. But Mario Oddities has to happen.
Yes, our new show where Jeremy shows us all his weird Mario videos that he's collected over the years for some fucking reason. It's basically the Zelda CDI of Mario media. Is kind of what we're getting into. And then the Guilty Treasures I'm doing at Will Smith as well. So we got a bunch of stuff coming in the pipeline. In terms of Doc's Pentiment's the next one. We'll get it out this month is the plan. So keep your eyes open.
It's getting there.
It's
getting close. It's a as mentioned earlier, it is I want to do certain like justice to it. It's like there's so many interesting things about the production of it, and like the thing that I'll tease that I think is the most exciting for me to put together is I pulled probably like 100 high resolution scans of old woodcut art and old illuminated manuscript and parchment and stuff. And it is unbelievable how I kind of like got a sense of that Pentiment captured the style really well because I've seen a lot of that art. But when you pull them up side by side and you cut from one to the other, it's like unbelievable how seamlessly they work together. And that's a huge part of the doc is like how the style had to be there in order to pitch this idea because it's such an unconventional idea. So even pitching it to Xbox for Game Pass, like that maybe that seems like an easier sell than getting it like traditionally approved by a publisher or whatever.
Right.
But like nailing that style is a huge part of the like you need it to grok what the game is. So yeah, it's really cool. I think people will really enjoy it.
Even the like one or two pieces of that type of art that Frank put in the behind the scenes had me going like, oh my God, yeah, that's like so close. That's crazy.
There's a section where I put in a handful of historical Rocket Cats so people can see what the real Rocket Cat is like through the ages. So there's like a half dozen Rocket Cats from like the 13th, 14th century.
What did they call them again? Margienta or something?
Marginalia.
Or Marginalia.
Yeah.
That's the name of the drawings in the margins of those books. If you've not played Pentiment, go fucking play Pentiment so you can watch this doc. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, my favorite marginalia that I found during the research process for this was a nun picking penises from a tree. There's there's a fruit tree except it grows little penises, and she's pulling them down and putting them into a basket.
Outstanding. You couldn't possibly read into that.
I mean, I don't think that means anything deeper. I don't think we should break that down in any way.
Unbelievable. We also thanks very much to Obsidian. They also gave us access to a bunch of development sketches, a lot of early versions of characters, lots of really cool stuff. So that's going to be in the doc. We also got to spend time with one of the, as you can see in the behind the scenes video, we got to spend time with one of the principal animators who guided us through a bunch of basically how they rigged and set up all the animations for the characters. It was so much fun seeing all that stuff, and yeah, I think this is going to be a very, very cool doc. I'm excited to see what Jeremy has whipped up. Yeah, pretty cool. So thank you. We're working over here, working our asses off, and I have to go to do some more meetings. I have 2 more meetings this afternoon. One of them Frank will be very excited about, but we'll talk about that off air. That's our podcast this week. Jeremy, what are you doing for the rest of your week?
I'm going to try to push Pentiment to rough cut. I think I can do it over the next couple days. It's getting close. I just need to figure out a way that it's not over 2 hours. But
hey, fuck it. You know what? As long as it works,
it's pretty good, man. There's not a lot of fat on it.
Games take a long time to beat. Our video should take a long time to beat. Rinse.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it should be.
We've not done in a while.
What
that we're gonna do, because we have one of these coming up for sure. That's 100% gonna be one of these. Is we haven't done series in a while. Mm-hmm. There might be if some of these docs, if they make sense to like give them a bit more breathing room. What I like is that oftentimes we get more people to watch because I'll watch a 25-minute video on something and then we get them for the 3 like parts of it. We should keep that open for some of these. We used to do that all the time. Yeah. Like the Doom video was one. The first couple of docs we did were all miniseries.
Yeah, so it's a good way to use all the parts of the buffalo.
It's also
exactly.
It's also that nice bump because sometimes people won't see the announcement for the first, and it's like episode 2. Wait, what? There's more, and so
yeah. Because you could do one on like here's this is me basically pitching something while Jeremy's already edited this structure together. But
it's too late.
Let's just say it anyway. You could have like here's how Pentiment got pitched and made. Here's how the animation and art was done. Here's how that type of thing. Here's how the writing was done. But anyway. So yeah, just re-edit the whole thing.
If you had a time machine, that'd be a great suggestion.
Here's how we made a time machine. Here's how we figured out time travel.
Chapter 1, how we went back in time.
It's too meta. Frank, what are you up to for the rest of your week?
I'm hoping to go to Little Tokyo this weekend. Research. No, it's not research. I'm going to the real thing soon, but I don't know. So hanging out with friends. I've been blasting through Pentiment. I don't know, just trying to keep myself busy. I've been taking care of my mom, things like that. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully the weather gets better so I can go ride my bicycle. But yeah, my brain's very foggy, but I don't know. We're moving along.
Cool. You got Japan coming up.
Yes.
Most importantly, something to look forward to, right?
Yeah.
Amen. Yes, I'm here until Friday morning. I'm flying back super early, and then we're going to record a bunch of Noclip videos, so that should be fun. What else is going on? I feel like something's going on this weekend. Oh, I'll be murdered if I don't mention this. if you like Girl Scout cookies,
Yeah.
my wife's going to listen to the podcast this week and make sure I mention it. If you like Girl Scout cookies and you live in, I think you need to be in the USA, or you can actually donate if you live outside the USA. You can just donate the cookies or cost the cookies. I forget how it works. But my daughter is selling Girl Scout cookies. It's all through the Girl Scouts online portal. I put up a video on Twitter last week, which was way more successful than I had anticipated, about Girl Scout cookies and why I'm doing this and whatnot. I don't like. I try to keep my daughter's life as private off the internet as possible, and same with my wife actually as well. Although that was for a long time, that was because of the industry she worked in. It was sort of, she worked in like mental health and stuff. So she didn't have an online presence for very good reasons because of, patients and stuff like that. But I don't like talk about my family business all that much. Let them own their own identities online and all that. But my daughter really wanted me to sell Girl Scout cookies to my fans, as she calls them. So, because sometimes we'll like be in town and someone will come up and she was like, do you have fans? And I'm like, yeah, sure, they're fans. We call them fans. So if you like Girl Scout cookies and you want to get some Girl Scout cookies, head over to tinyurl.com/cookie-o'dwyer and you will land on a page where you can order them. And apparently they order them super fast. It's all done by the Girl Scout cookies. And her troop will get like, the funding that comes from that. They get a cut out of it. And then she also, if she sells enough of these, she gets like, give you like little things like, oh, here's some like, cool little markers. And here's like a little, plushie and shit like that. She really wants the plushie. We've already gotten the plushie. She's already sold enough to get the plushie, thanks to all the Twitter people. So, if you're interested, and what we're going to do is, because I was trying to figure out like, is there any way we can thank people? We have access to everyone's email address who ordered. So I said it on Twitter. I was like, make sure your email address is accurate, because once we're done, I think they're selling them for another month or so. Once we're done, myself and my daughter will do some sort of thing that we'll email people. Like a little recorded voice message or something like that, to thank everyone. So if you want your cookies, my house is full of fucking cookies. My wife is in charge of the troops' cookie supply, and it's just like, this would be a bad time to try go on a diet because I'm up to fucking my ears in tagalongs at the moment. They gotta go. Jeremy, please come over and take some of these cookies.
You gotta eat Thin Mints, dude. That's my jam.
Oh, so many Thin Mints. They do not make you thin. They lie.
They're Fat Mints.
Fat Mints. Madness. All right, that's a podcast this week. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week on the Noclip Crewcast. Go play some Steam Next Fest demos before people remember to take them down. Bye.